Hello and welcome to MZ Webinars. Today we're really excited to be joined by Karla Hoff, who is MZ Burning Glass's Director of Sales for FE. She will be sharing some really exciting developments that we've been making in our FE sector, so we're looking forward to hearing about that. If you do have any questions during the course of the webinar, please put them in the questions box on your control panel of the GoToWebinar system, and we'll endeavour to get back to those at the end of the presentation. We will be sharing the recording and slides from today in a follow-up email, so please keep your eyes open for that, and that hopefully will come out later today. So without any further ado, I'll hand over to you, Karla. Hi, Karla.
Hi, thanks Debbie, and good morning everyone. Thanks for joining us on what I think is probably Easter break for many of you, so yeah, much appreciated, and I hope that you have got some well-deserved rest booked in over the long bank holiday weekend. So as Debbie said, today's webinar is a bit of a sneak peek really of some interesting, really exciting developments that we've been working on over the last couple of months, but really a focus on the levelling up agenda and a bit of a recap of that Skills for Jobs bill. So we'll unpick what this means in practical terms, I suppose, for the education sector, then start to explore where labour market and skills data might be able to support that. So there's lots of bits and pieces on the MZ Burning Glass YouTube site on the levelling up agenda that we've done kind of at a corporate and across our business unit level, and a couple of previous Skills for Jobs webinars. So do go have a look at those because really, really good content that we've got going on at the minute. But first though, so I'll just give a quick reminder to those of you who know us really well and an introduction to those of you who might be new to us. And if you are, thank you for joining us and welcome. So it's our vision at MZ Burning Glass to be the global authority on the labour market with a particular focus on leading that transition to a future of work based on skills, basically. And our mission is to provide insights and data across key sectors such as education and economic development to support you in making better decisions around the labour market, which then in turn obviously supports your customers and key stakeholders. So today's focus is looking at the key messages from policy in the sector at the minute, and we're seeing this heavy focus on the importance of identifying and meeting employer skills gaps. So this is nothing new to us as the education sector. We know that this has always been a key mission, but with things kind of coming into play and focus and moving their way to becoming legislation, it's kind of ramping up, and we're seeing the need to demonstrate the impact and the importance that the sector has. This has kind of never been greater. So we've seen the levelling up agenda. We're a year into the introduction of the Skills for Jobs white paper. And really we're kind of getting a lot of worry from sector and customers around how they can achieve this without employing a whole team of data experts to be able to demonstrate the impact of curriculum on local economy. So in February this year, we saw the introduction of the government's levelling up agenda. So very long document, but it sets out 12 key policy missions to be achieved by 2030. And those key policy missions relate to everything from boosting productivity, spreading opportunities countrywide, to things like restoring local pride and leadership. So a whole host in there, and we're lucky in that we've got a team of economists and research that's been able to troll through that. But the things that kind of jumped out to us then as a labour market data specialist company is the ones that relate to things around jobs and skills. So the agenda sets out the goal to reduce gaps in employment and pay between different places, and that's really in a bid to increase living standards across the country. One of the goals for education is to reduce the number of learners not achieving expected results in things like reading, writing, English and maths. And then in terms of skills and training, there's a requirement for more adults to complete those high quality, high level training qualifications, particularly around those areas that need, or particularly in those areas that need levelling up. So really, it's skills at the centre of the policy, and it's becoming quite clear then that for the government or the country to achieve any of this, that education providers will really play a key part in this, and if not the main part, really. It kind of starts with education at the core, and as a lifelong learning sector, it sits with us guys to kind of understand and fill those local employer skills gaps, which in turn will reduce unemployment. So yeah, small job. So thinking about the Skills for Jobs white paper, this was introduced at the beginning of 2021. So we're over a year into this now, and what this set out to achieve was a new system of lifelong learning that was suitable for everyone, and suitable by kind of strengthening the link between employers and providers. So again, we're hearing that need for employers to work more closely with the education sector, kind of same message that we've been hearing for a long time now. And then also that helps people get the technical skills that employers and the local economy need. And same things that we kind of heard in the levelling up agenda around that, the need to support key growth industries and in turn boost productivity. So it very much, I feel, will be a paper for, will be a vehicle for achieving that levelling up agenda in many areas. And it just echoes many of the key aims set out in the Skills for Jobs paper a year earlier. And we've seen a lot of progress made in the last year with the Skills for Jobs white paper, as it were. So we've seen a successful round of LSIP pilots, and the white paper's just passed its third and final reading in Parliament, and it's now said to be ping-ponging, which is an actual technical term, its way back and forth through Parliament from the House of Lords to the House of Commons, and soon should become law. So in it becoming law, we've also heard from Ofsted and kind of FE Commissioner. So I was at NAM's conference last month and we heard from Paul Joyce at Ofsted, and then the FE Commissioner. These rumours of these, I suppose they're not rumours, that they'll be set in stone, but these talks of these accountability agreements and the skills measures that will come out of the Skills for Jobs bill, and really kind of all in the form of a performance dashboard. And that's what we were hearing at that conference, that it will be kind of accountability agreements, funding reforms, and these skills measures or accountability or skills paper, should I say, in the form of a performance dashboard. And we got from that conference that the first college skills plans should be required from around July 2023. So all kind of gaining momentum, and we've seen recently, 1st of April, that colleges are also being invited to submit bids for the next round of the strategic development funding, and that pot of funding is really the back of kind of the LSIP pilots, is to provide funds to allow, again, education providers in general to better align their provision to local skills priorities. So there's money available there to kind of assess what you're already doing and align that on a regional level in line with those employer skills needs. So with all that in mind then, I suppose it'll be at the top of everyone's to-do list then to make sure that they obviously clearly understand what the regional economy looks like in terms of industries and occupations and jobs and skills makeup, but really understand how what they're doing aligns to that, and how that fits into the wider regional picture. So it's kind of all about understanding what you do, but being able to clearly articulate that. And again, it's nothing that we're kind of not used to doing in the FE sector. So we've got the the intent statements that Ofsted have been asking for over the last couple of years. So it's just the next step in terms of understanding what regional economy looks like, understanding how what we do aligns to that, how what we do in terms of the region aligns to that, and then how we can tailor provision further to be more responsive to those employer needs. So in order to support the sector then with these imminent skills measures, we've really excited to have designed an interactive dashboard which brings together a couple of key data sets that should help us do that. So we've got DFE achievements data, so your ILR completers achievements, and then we've brought that together with MZ Burning Glass labour market and job postings data. So what this really simply and quickly does is give us a detailed overview of those regional jobs and skills demands, so what's going on, a supply and demand analysis for both the individual provider, so you as a college or ITP, but also that regional FE provision as well. So what are we doing that meets the demands of the local economy, and what are we doing as a region that meets the demands, and where is the kind of wider skills gaps within the LEP region that we serve. And then the ability to deep dive into each of those course areas. So as an extension from that intent and impact kind of statement and requirement of Ofsted, to be able to go into each subject sector area and understand how that course area translates into jobs and skills and the demand for them within the region that you serve. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek into that, and I'm really excited to share this with you. It's kind of hot off the press, if you like. So this is the local economy overview. So it's that top level view of what's been going on over the last 12 months. So it's a kind of 12-month period where we're able to see recruitment demand in the last 12 months, whether that's grown or fallen. We've just come out of a pandemic, and a lot of well, nationally we're in this period of recovery, so it's interesting to see how that recruitment growth compares to last year. We've got total jobs and unemployment within the region, and then a really clear overview of top industries, the biggest companies employing within the region, that job postings is trend over time, so month on month, how that's kind of translated into number of employers looking for vacancies, and then the top 10 occupations. So what are those biggest companies looking for in terms of jobs? How does that translate into actual job roles and occupations? So really nice high level overview of what the key industries and occupations are that are driving the LEP region that you serve right now. And this is for the Basingstoke and Dean area. It's where we're based as a head office in the UK, so we've chosen that as an area, but we basically can set any LEP region across the country. So moving on to that regional supply and demand analysis then. So this is the section of the dashboard that gives us an overview of all provision delivered within a given LEP region. So that's done by learner aims and then learner achievements numbers. So that'll include all general further education providers, or sixth form colleges, all ITPs, and it's taken from the Department for Education achievements data for the last academic year. So it's updated year on year, and we'll also have in-year updates as well. So you've really got a handle of what you're producing or what you've kind of done as a provider and as a region as a whole. So we break that number out by learner aims, so that's everything, and then also the full-time learner equivalent. So that gives us a truer sense of learners potentially entering the labour market, and you've got the two metrics there. And then we sort out all of those achievements into the standard 14 subject sector areas. So we can both see at an aggregate or an individual provider level, and this is for the aggregate, how many learners achieved a qualification in each one of those subject sector areas within the region. And these are the generic SSA ones, like business admin and law, education training, languages, literature and culture, etc. So to understand the kind of demand side then, we carry out a unique mapping exercise which links those 14 subject sector areas to the groups of occupations by the SOC definition that they typically train for within the labour market. So for example, on the previous slide, we've got business admin and law and the number of completers or achievers that this provider or group of providers did. And then here, we basically map everything within that occupation group or subject sector area group, sorry, from customer service advisors to finance managers to solicitors. Every occupation that course area would typically train for would sit within this group, and from them we can then attach the projected job growth numbers to understand the demand for these roles. So we group that by kind of SOC code occupation, so the government standard occupation code, and we do that from 2021 to 2030 as a period. So we're saying that in this business admin and law group of occupations, we think that there'll be just over 1,000 job openings in the next 9 years. So the last piece of that puzzle then, really simply, is bringing together those two bits of analysis, so the supply and demand data, to give us a gap analysis. So by looking at the total achievement numbers against the total number of the associated job numbers within that region, so your supply and your demand side, we can then easily identify areas of potential undersupply, oversupply, or areas where there might be room for development. So on this slide, we've got a gap analysis. And it shows where the provider has growth potential in something like business and admin. So in this business and admin and law subject sector area, there was a difference between the number of learners and the number of jobs of 937. So that's kind of a positive gap, and it's telling us that there's potentially around 940 jobs to fill within that region. On the other hand, we can also look at where there's potential oversupply. So if we look at areas like arts, media or publishing, or leisure, travel and tourism, we've got kind of a negative oversupply there of around 170 learners on each, or jobs on each. So what that basically is telling us that there's more people completing courses in this area than there are jobs for them to go into. So we obviously need to deep dive into this in much more detail, which you can do in other tools, and have a look at kind of levels. You need to take into consideration the type of course area and make an assessment of whether they'll be staying in region or out. But in some subject sector areas, it's very kind of clear that these learners will look for jobs in this area, and you can easily identify how you are or are not meeting the needs of the local demand on that top strategic overview level. So to go into the detail then, providers can then have a look at kind of a deep dive into the 14 subject sector areas. So this is the subject sector area analysis section, and here you just drop down between the 14 subject sector areas, and you'd be able to choose your region or curriculum area. So we really want to be able to adapt provision to meet those ever-changing needs of the industries driving the region that you serve as a college or independent training provider, especially post-pandemic. We know that the need for diversification of curriculum has kind of never been greater. So what this allows us to do is to not only understand that kind of supply and demand at top level, we're doing this many, we have this many achievers and this is kind of the job numbers within the region, but it also allows then for curriculum teams to start unpicking how that labour market demand translates into specific occupations, companies, job titles and skills requirements of the employers looking for these people. So whole host of kind of drop down boxes there that allow you to go through and unpick hard and soft skills, companies and job titles, and then the kind of key industries driving this sector area within a region. We've also got market share here. Really interesting to see how you fare against the rest of the region in terms of what you're delivering, and the specific number. Just going on to more detail about skills, I think this data is absolutely vital to the curriculum planning process. It's probably the most important piece of or chunk of data in there. We've basically got a list of the exact skills, makeup and roles that the employers are asking for here. So you'd get kind of the overview, and you've got your companies. So this translates into what those companies are asking for. So as of last year, these were the job titles that were kind of coming out in that software development SOC code. But specifically, we need things like front-end developers in Basingstoke and D, net developers, DevOps engineers. So what it allows you to do is really understand what the employers are asking for within this region, which will be very different to central London or Manchester or Liverpool, and then be able to build in these hard skills into your provision. So are your learners leaving with agile methodology, SQL, C# programming language? Do you need to make tweaks to your existing provision? Is there short courses that you can add onto adult learning provision to upskill or reskill your adult learners? So it's not just about understanding and being able to demonstrate that, yeah, we know what the local economy needs, this is what we're doing in X, Y, and Z subject sector areas, but it really allows you to take it to that next level and unpick that skills piece and make sure that you're really reflecting what those employers are asking for. So thinking back to the skills for jobs bill, the clues in the name and the levelling up agenda, it's all around skills. So there's really no better way of doing this and demonstrating this by using the most detailed level of job postings data available. So to wrap up then and summarise, really quick sneak peek into the dashboard and a bit of an overview and kind of picking out key points from that levelling up and skills for jobs bill. What we're really seeing is that they're calling for providers to be able to understand and demonstrate how well the courses are aligned to demand for jobs and skills within the local economy that they serve. So what labour market and skills data can do, coupled with your provider's achievement data, can give you that high level overview to help identify skills gaps on that local and regional level, but then also evaluate how well what you're doing aligns with those employer skills needs, and then go that one step further in having that deep dive look into courses and how they relate to jobs and skills demand. So I've given you a bit of an overview, but what we're kind of really excited to be able to give you is free demo access. So there's a link there to our website, so economicmodelling.co.uk/curriculum-insight, and on there you'll be able to sign up for free demo access. So I've obviously just taken some screenshots today, but you can go in there and really have a look at kind of how interactive and intuitive it is. If you want me to walk you through it in more detail, my email address is on the screen, or give me a call and I'm happy to talk through that in much more detail and explore how it might be able to help you. So that's all from me today. Thank you again for spending the last half an hour with me on this Tuesday morning. Hope you all have a lovely long bank holiday weekend, and really keen to hear from you guys, kind of thoughts and feedback on that, and whether it's something that will help you get closer towards achieving and being able to demonstrate impact in the regional economy. Thank you very much.